It says recording. I don't know exactly where it's recording to.
Oh, yeah, I see that too. Weird.
Yeah, it should be recording to my computer. If not, then I'll figure out how to download it, but that works. All right. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. All right. Hi, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Zola, a girl in recovery, and this is the first out of what I'm hoping will be many of the Recover Out Loud series. Today we have Allie, and she's going to just talk with us today about a plethora of cool shit. So we're from the same hometown, but we've never really met in person to my knowledge, have we?
I don't think so. No.
No. We met on social media, and so that was really cool. And I remember like a long time ago, you actually reaching out to me and just being like, yo, I want to get clean, like, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I remember you were struggling a lot, and then one day you just got it. If you don't mind me asking, how long has it been now? How long have you been clean?
Almost 5 months on February 10th.
Woo!
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And that was like a lot of trial and error, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Especially with alcohol. It was like 10 years of off and on with that one. So yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So what was your, I guess like alcohol was your original drug of choice, and then I know a little bit about your story, but I don't want to like tell your story at the same time. So but like one of the questions that I like to ask is, what was your drug of choice? So alcohol was for years, for probably 8 years. I had never actually done any other drugs. That ruined my life pretty well on its own for a long time. And then for the last 2 years, cocaine became a pretty big problem, and then I meth and heroin for 7 months. So I had a pretty short but devastating run with those ones. Yeah, and it doesn't always take very long with those, you know?
No, apparently not.
Right, you just kind of go 0 to 100 really quick a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to your TikTok right now, real quick. What is your TikTok handle?
It's Allie Recovers now. Yeah, I just changed it. So
she's got a really great TikTok. It is a very dark humor. It's not for everyone. I found it like very hilarious and very helpful. So if you're on that app, I do recommend going and checking her out. So I know that is one of the ways that you stay clean, is just kind of coping through dark humor. And you've really actually got quite a following over there now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was definitely surprising. It happened pretty quick, actually. I don't know. I think I had a couple of videos that did pretty well, and then I've got 23,000 followers or something on that now, and it's actually probably the biggest tool for my recovery, since I don't personally use 12-step programs, and with COVID there's not a whole lot of in-person support. So the people and the connections I've on TikTok are actually a huge thing for me.
Yeah, well, and being from where you're from, Kodiak Island, there's just not a whole lot of options for recovery. I mean, even your 12-step programs are extremely limited, and they are it's different there. And I don't want to down talk anybody's way of recovering or anything like that. I know you don't do 12-step programs. I do. But that's the thing about recovery, is it's not one size fits all. And I think too, people kind of get caught up on the, work the program or die. And for there being a 3% success rate, I think that's just kind of like a silly thing to do. Like it can be beneficial, and I think that 12-step programs are great, and they can be great, and they have a lot of potential, but they're certainly not the only way. Kodiak's very limited in the first place, and then adding COVID on top of it and all the limitations and restrictions, I imagine that I mean, thank goodness we have social media right now. I think it's really helped so many people. So, what do you think led to you getting started, like in your addiction to alcohol, and then the progression into other things?
I don't definitely unmanaged mental illness. Early managed mental illness was a big factor. I think I had already been diagnosed. I have bipolar disorder, depression, and I wasn't managing that with medications or therapy or anything. And with alcohol, anyways, a lot of people say that it's something that crept up on them slowly, like they drank, for years or months and didn't realize they had a problem, and then slowly. But like for me, the first time I got drunk, it was like, oh my gosh, this will solve all my problems. Like, I don't sad, I don't feel pain, like anything. And so that was like, I was 17, I think. So it was actually later than a lot of people start drinking. But, and pretty much since then, it just was a problem right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I kind of got a similar, like, I started drinking when I was younger, but then I quit for a long time when I had my babies. And then I didn't get into my like addiction until I was in my late 20s, which is just crazy for most people. I think people seem to often get into it a lot younger, but it happens when it happens. Yeah. And my husband's bipolar. That's really nothing to mess around with. I've seen him manic and off his medication like one time, and that's not really something I would ever wish on anybody. It was quite the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny too how many people in recovery were originally self-medicating before they kind of got addicted. But, yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest contributing factors to addiction, is we're just trying to treat mental illness, maybe not the best way, but a lot of people obviously don't have access to the necessary meds or therapy treatments that they need, and so we take to kind of trying to take care of it on our own in unhealthy ways.
Oh yeah, our healthcare system, and I say this as being a part of our healthcare system, like I know it from the inside out. It's messed up. Like it is. The insurance companies, like it's crazy. It can be, healthcare is just a privilege in this country, and we're all just doing the best we can with the tools we have, and unfortunately we don't all have the same tools. So yeah, I get it. It sucks. I do remember you saying something like when you first you were having it onto your TikTok, you were having a bad day and you just saw like a bottle and you were like, maybe this will help, and then you were hit the ground running. Yeah,
that was pretty much it. It was so weird, and like I almost say it was like a deja vu, but like in reverse. Like I had this, like as soon as I felt the feeling, that warmth, of like the alcohol, I saw this like destruction in the future and like losing everything, going to jail, all this stuff, and I was like, that's what would happen if I keep doing this. I have a feeling, because I knew it was wrong. Even at that age, I'm like, I'm not gonna take care of my problems with alcohol, but I was like, let's either get this in control now or ruin everything. And I guess I was like, let's ruin everything. Okay, good choice.
Right. And it's funny because I can totally relate. Like the very first time I did IV meth, I was like, the first words that came out of my mouth were like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a problem. Like I was like, this is definitely gonna be a problem. You just kind of but that's like the insanity of addiction, is like, but you just keep going. It's weird.
Yeah,
super weird. I know a lot of people get into it because trauma, don't know how to cope, mental illness, like you said, can be pretty crazy. Like I mentioned, we would have conversations and you'd be like, I can't even get 3 days under my belt, and then you just got it. And I was like, holy shit, she's doing it. I was so happy. But what was it? Like, what was your turning point? What finally sparked?
Yeah. I people that I think on TikTok a lot, and like, cause I know a lot of people have this like really big or devastating rock bottom. And, you know, that just like, that's the event that did it. And for me, like I had in the 6 months time period that I was, you know, really bad off doing, you know, all the drugs, everything. I lost everything in that period of my home, my car, my family, briefly, even my daughter. But I still kept using even after that. But really, I think what finally did it is I was tired. Like, that's the only way I can put it, is I was so tired, like, of losing things, of hurting people, of being hurt, of not knowing where I'd sleep at night, not knowing when I would eat next, like always having to, like being sick, having to chase like I just was so exhausted one day that I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. I could not even fathom another day of it. And that was it.
I remember when I got to that point too, I just like, everybody's like, what changed? And I'm like, I got sick of my own bullshit. I just got sick of it. Like,
yeah,
I couldn't go on like that. And I remember one day being like, either I'm going to get clean or I'm going to kill myself, because I'm not doing this anymore. I was done. Do you feel comfortable talking about maintenance drugs on here?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know that's definitely been helpful for you. I don't know. What do you want to say about that?
I think there was like a lag. I know they're awesome. They're fantastic. They help so many people, with their recovery, and I'm a huge advocate for them. I briefly took Suboxone for a few months, but for me, I don't think it was something that I ever needed. It was actually something that was sort of pushed on me from one of my doctors. I initially only wanted it to help with the, you know, acute withdrawal from opiates. And I was like, can I just do that? You know, and he's like pushing, he's like, people relapse if we don't. We really want you on it long term. And I remember just being like, I don't think that's necessary for me, but right. I did it. And then I was on it for about 3 months and found out I was pregnant.
Congrats.
And at that point I chose to, oh yeah, thank you. At that point I chose to taper with my doctor's support and under their supervision. So I've actually been off that now for a month and a half or so.
Yeah. And I remember, like, again, you reaching out to me and being like, what do you think of this? Because I'm getting like so much crap from this side and from this side. And I was just like, girl, you do you. I mean, you've tried A, B, and C.
Yeah.
It's time to try D, you know, like it doesn't mean you have to be on it forever. I personally tried, and I abused the shit out of them. Like, I couldn't. It was all or nothing for me. But I have seen people who have exhausted every other option. And it's like, if you have this tool at your disposal and you're able to use that tool properly, why wouldn't you use that tool?
Right.
But, you know, me personally, and I know a lot of other people in recovery can't properly use that tool. So it's just,
yeah,
it is what it is, you know. It is like, but I'm not gonna. I used to, when I first got in recovery, I was kind of like one of those, you know, like strictly by the book, you know. But I think I've just grown a lot, and I've seen so many people die, and I've just seen so much where I'm just like, do what you got to do at this point, if that's what you need to do to get clean, and hopefully it's just a means to an end. But I mean, whatever you got to do to get yourself to the point where you can live like a happy, healthy, stable life and be a functional member of society. Like,
exactly.
Did you really push it on people? I remember you even mentioning, like, I want to get off of this, and they were like, oh, we don't think you should, like, ever. It's weird.
Yeah. It's great of a tool as it is. I think, you know, they looked at my background. They knew that I'd only been using opiates for, you know, less, like half a year. And the amount I was using, you know, I think I was probably not the best candidate for being on MAT treatment, you know, like it just, whereas, you know, there's people that are much more severe, much more dependent, all kinds of factors that I'm like, I don't think I was someone that ever needed it. But I also probably could have advocated a little better for myself rather than just being like, okay, I'll just take it then, you know.
Well, and it's hard coming out of addiction to advocate for yourself because you're so used to just like these authority figures, you know, and you just get this idea of yourself that they're in charge, and you know, you just have to do what they say. And I kind of remember going through that too, and not like going to the hospital for help and being treated like scum, and not being able to advocate for myself. Like, it's like you forget that you're paying them, that they're working for you, and
Yes.
they just, there's this
Exactly.
like uneven power dynamic. And I'm not trying to trash talk on doctors. There are a lot of good doctors, and even maybe your doctor's a good doctor. I don't know, but I'm just like, generally speaking, it can be really intimidating. That's one reason why I try never to go to the doctor alone. It's just nice to have somebody there.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. So like, what are some things, like, now I kind of know like what worked, what finally worked. You know, you got sick of your own BS, you decided to make a change, you went and you asked for help, and you took help, and you started accepting help from people, it sounds like. But what are some things that you tried in the past that didn't work?
That well, I'm like, it's like, you'd think that'd be easier to think of because a lot of things didn't work. I'm
Right.
like, well, I think the biggest mistake I made in the past was not cutting off people that were not going to be supportive or healthy for my recovery. That seemed to be the biggest thing that would end up resulting in me slipping up and going back to drinking and then using later on. Like, I finally accepted that if I wanted to get clean and sober and stay that way, that I would have to completely cut people, whether they were best friends, acquaintances, it doesn't matter. Like, they had to go if I was going to put myself first. And that was one of the hardest ones for me to do. But also, now that I've been sober for 5 months, I'm like, that was probably a big one that I was failing, you know, so many times with before. Oh, yeah, definitely one.
I think that's probably the biggest one for most people. I know, even myself included, is thinking, you know, I didn't want to go meet new people. I had my people, and I thought like, oh, I just need to be stronger than that, or oh, I can be, they need me to be a good example to them, or like, I mean, just whatever it was. That was the hardest one for me, was changing my people, because you spend so much time with these people, and when you're using, you just, your emotions are just so out of whack that you create these insanely intense bonds with people sometimes too, and you genuinely do care about them, and it's hard to walk away from.
Very hard. Yeah. And I think another one is I probably thinking that I could moderate, or, you know, that was another way that I would mess up a lot in the past, especially with drinking. You know, I was so determined through so many relapses. I was like, oh, I'm just, okay, we'll limit it to 3 drinks, or only the weekends, or only beer instead of hard liquor. And I'm like, and I just did that so many times, so convinced that I could make that work. And I'm like, it's not working. You obviously can't do it at all. So stop trying to make that happen. Like,
Right. And I know for me, it's almost like you're telling me my history, my story, like, 'cause I did the exact same things and same issues. I know. Yeah. It's just, it's funny because there's just so many similarities. Like, we're all so different, but we're all also the same in a lot of ways. What are your favorite things to do? Like, do you have any like coping skills you want to share, or like tell us how you do it?
Well, typically therapy is one that I'm always a huge advocate for, but I haven't unfortunately been able to recently, but it's helpful. And then of course, managing, you know, any mental illnesses you have, you know, getting on meds, therapy, that's like a huge thing that helps me cope with life in general and my recovery. But nature, the outdoors, is a huge one for me. It's like the only thing that keeps me sane sometimes. Or whenever I'm feeling really triggered, I'm like, just go outside, go for a walk, even just a drive outside, like, but hiking, kayaking, and music it's funny. It's like music is a really helpful thing with coping and healing and I guess distracting myself when I'm triggered, but it can also be the depending on depending on the circumstances. But
yeah,
but the outdoors probably for sure that's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, that's one I give you kudos for, because Kodiak is technically a temperate rainforest, and you get about 300 approximately days of rain per year. So I'm gonna give you mad kudos.
Yeah,
I hate the rain. I'm solar powered.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. The rain I can deal with, but it's really the darkness, like the winter. That's what gets me more than anything.
Yeah, no, I can relate. Like, I think it's November and December are my worst months, and it's gotten better through the years, but it's really hard. I couldn't imagine being in Alaska at this point. That's about all the questions that I've got. Is there anything you'd just like to say to the peeps, the tubers?
Well, I guess pretty much it. For people who are in recovery or maybe not sober yet, but trying to be, is I guess I can't like enough the importance of like finding what works for you and like trying different things, different support, 12-step, not 12-step, MAT or not. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people in recovery in all areas, that tend to think like their way is the only way. Mm-hmm. And I think it definitely kept me stuck for a while. And I think it keeps a lot of people stuck because they try it one way and it doesn't work a million times. And they start to think like, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I get it? And then there's just a lack of support from a lot of people. So like, just be aware that there's so many options and so many different types of support and people to talk to, and that you don't have to feel like you're stuck with one specific way to recover.
Right.
Utilize all of it if you have to.
Yeah, and quite honestly, that's kind of what I do. I take little bits and pieces from like everything and everyone and just kind of put it all together to do what works for me. And if something's not working, then I'm like, okay, let's chuck this one in the bucket and find something else. But it's definitely, and another thing that kind of irritates me is it's just such a lifelong process. Like I don't have the urge to use anymore really, but all those like the addictive behaviors and the manipulation and just like all that stuff, the justifications and rationalizations and just all that bullshit, it just like comes creeping back sometimes. And it's something you just have to keep your guard up about, because it is kind of a slippery slope. If you start letting it go in one area, then it's just like a snowball effect, and it's annoying. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say at this point. So yeah, another baby. That's cool.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit, but I'm excited now. I'm like, yeah, super excited.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to give it to you. Kudos for, staying clean. I know I'm not going to get like too into detail on all your stuff. And like people can go check out your TikTok. You're pretty open about it over there too. I don't want to steal all your content. But you have had just like one hit after another these last few months. And it's like, holy crap. It's funny how that kind of happens too, because it's like the wreckage. You just finally have to face it all. And that you're doing great. Like, I'm very proud of you, but I know that it's got to be hard and stressful.
Yeah, well, and I think it's hard too, because when we get sober, we want, we just want everything to just be great again. And like, all right, like I did what I needed to do. I'm proud of myself. like, I want life to just work. And you're like, well, now you have to fix everything that you've ruined, and you have to do it sober. You don't get to cope, the way you coped before. And so, dealing with like finding work, job, like dealing with trauma that happened, and it's like all that stuff. And a lot of times legal issues, and you're like, that's all stuff that you face now.
Yeah.
It didn't just go away just because I finally got sober.
Right. Yeah, I think it was a good year when I was finally like over all my crap. I had like 4 months clean, and I had a trial, and I got found guilty, and I went to jail. And like, it's like life doesn't just magically get better because you get clean. Like, you still have to work your butt off. But then it gets better after you're done cleaning up the wreckage and stuff. Like, you don't just get to be like, poof, I'm a new person, and everyone has to forgive me, and
I'm better now.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's
fun.
And earning people's trust back too. It takes time, and it sucks, but it's worth it. It really is. Some people it takes longer than others, but
I definitely found that frustrating. Month or so, I was like, why isn't my family automatically just trusting me again? Like, I'm not, I'm like, well, you hurt, so it's not gonna be fixed overnight. Yeah.
Right. Like, I can remember I gave myself, I'm like, okay, well, these are the amount of years I spent messing up my life. So I figure it's going to take at least that long for everybody to start trusting me again. So I gave myself like 5 years, and I was like, and then if it hasn't worked, I'm just going to throw a fit. And I think, after like a year, pretty much everybody was like, oh, it's cool, it's fine. But one thing I wasn't prepared for, and I don't know if you've dealt with this yet, but I'm sure you will, is like the people who want you to do well, but then once you start doing well, but then you kind of surpass where they're at, they get resentful. They get like mad. Have you come across that yet? Like a little bit?
I don't think I can see what you're talking. I don't think I have personally. Maybe a couple examples I can go, but I don't think I've had to deal with that yet. But that makes sense to me. I can definitely see how that can happen.
Yeah, because like in the beginning, I had a lot of people that were like, "Yeah, go you. Like, let me. How can I help? You're doing so great. But then it's almost like once I didn't need their help anymore, and I just wanted their friendship, and then it was just like some people just really need to be needed, and it's weird.
Definitely.
Well, I'm glad you haven't really had to deal with that too much. Hopefully you don't, but I mean, it's a pretty common theme. It's weird. Anyways, I think we're almost to our 40-minute mark before we get kicked off of Zoom. Okay, final call. Is there, just any words of wisdom or anything you want to say? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot here.
I know, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I have it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think.
We don't have too many followers. We don't have too many YouTubers, but my Twitter fam are pretty diehard. So my tweeps. I got my tweeps and my tubes.
Oh my God.
So, I'm such a dork. It's fine.
I'm like, it's so awkward.
That's like me all the time. I'm sweating profusely, so it's fine. I fake it.
Me too. I'm like, what is wrong with
me? Yeah. Well, all right. I guess I'm just gonna wrap it up here then. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us, and I will drop a link to Allie's TikTok down in the comments if you guys wanted to go give her a follow. She's also on Twitter as. What's your Twitter handle?
I think I'm like, that one's still Allie Renee.
Okay, I'll add it down at the bottom too. I'll go do a little bit of a dive and find it and add it down there. She's in the recovery posse. Let's give her some kudos. So thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it. And everybody stay tuned for next week. We've got some more guests lined up. It should be really fun. I am really so excited about this series. And that's it. I don't really know how to end this. So. I always get so awkward at the end of my videos. I'm like, what?
They're just like, okay.
Like the font's like, hey, why am I like this?
Oh my God.
All right, girl, I'm going to log off, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate you.